Welcome to another episode in our commentary on Pirkei Avot from the Rambam and other commentaries. So today we're doing Perek Aleph, Mishna Gimel, and we're dedicating again this shir in memory of my father, Yehuda ben Moshe Esther, and Elsheva Yael bat Leah Levy. Okay, Michael, take it away.
So, Mishnah 3 of the first Perek. With now the featured individual is someone called Antigonus. So that doesn't sound like a Jewish name, but that also shows that I think there was Hellenic influences at the time. Greeks had influenced even the naming of the Jewish people. So Antigonus was a student of Shimon HaTzadik. Again, we talk about this concept of Masorah, transmission. This was the next generation that the Torah was transmitted through. We are told in this Mishnah begins, Antigonus ish Socho. Antigonus was a man of Socho.
A leader of Socho.
Yeah. Ish denotes a distinguished, important person. When you hear ish so and so, it's meant to promote the concept of a distinguished and learned person.
Moshe Rabbeinu, it's called Vaha'ish Moshe.
Yeah. So he Kibel Mishimon HaTzadik. He learned his Torah from Shimon HaTzadik. Hu Haya Omer. He used to say, Al tihiyu ka'avadim hamsamsim et harav al manat lakabel pras. Do not be like servants who serve the master in the expectation of receiving a reward. Ella hevu ka'avadim k'sham shamim et harav shelo al manat lakabel pras v'yihi mora shamayim aleichem. You should be like servants who serve the master without the expectation of receiving a reward, and let the fear of Hashem be upon you. So this Antigonus is telling us, don't feel. He talks about being an eved, but the eved in this is not a servant as we would think. It's more like a slave. You must be almost like a slave to Hashem, and not expect a salary or some reward, because your job is a very sacred job. You're not dealing with a human being. You're dealing with Hashem, and the concept of being rewarded, like I'm doing this to get paid, is not the mindset that Hashem wants from you. He doesn't want that from you. He wants you to serve Him with all your heart and all your soul. And it doesn't tell you must be a slave. He says you must be like a slave. So you must be as committed as a slave. And it tells you, he also says, and you must also let the fear of Hashem be upon you. So two very important concepts here. How you must love Hashem, but also fear Hashem. A combination of those two characteristics is very important. And you must find the balance between loving Hashem and fearing Hashem. In a way, it's like a parent. Like you love your parents, but you also fear your parents because they are the authority figures in your life growing up. And so this is very important. But also understand that you can love and fear Hashem because Hashem's love for you is unconditional, and your love and Yirat Shamayim should be unconditional. So I'm going to quote quite a long commentary by Rambam, because he's the main commentator we'd like to concentrate in this series. So he talks about this Mishnah as follows, pertaining to not serving Hashem with the desire of receiving reward on this earth. Like, I did that for you, I expect something, I expect something in return. Something. So this is what Rambam says, and I quote, "A reward or pras is what one calls a benefit that is granted to a person by someone who does not gain from him. but rather does it by way of kindness and grace. It is like when a man tells his servant or his young son or his wife, do such and such and I will give you a dinar or two. That is the difference between a reward and a wage, a schar. Reward is the pras, and schar is a wage. Since a wage is that which is given by way of an obligation, and this pious one said that you should not serve God, may he be blessed, in order that he, Hashem, will do good for you and benefit you with kindness, and that you should hope for the benefits and serve Hashem for that sake. Indeed, serve Hashem like servants that are not hoping for endowment or the giving of kindness. He meant with this that they should serve Hashem from love, as we said in chapter 10 of Sanhedrin, and nonetheless he did not exempt us from the fear of God. And he said, and I quote, even as you serve from love, do not discard fear completely, and may the fear of heaven be upon you. As the commandment of fear has already come in the Torah, and that is stating, as in Deuteronomy 6:13, fear Hashem your God. And the sages said also in Yerushalmi Barachot 9:7, serve from love and serve from fear. And they said that the one who loves will not forget a thing from which he was commanded to do, and the one who fears will not do what he was warned from doing, as fear is a great pathway with the negative commandments, and all the more so with the irrational commandments. And Rambam continues, and this sage had two students, one whose name was Tzadok, and one whose name was Beitos. And when they heard him say this statement, Antigonos made the statement, they went out from in front of him, and one said to the other one, behold, the teacher has said explicitly that there was no benefit and punishment for a person, and there was no hope at all. This was the beginning of the Sadducees and the Baitusim.
Yeah. The Baitusim. It just shows, because you've got the Masorah, but they didn't quite cut the explanation, and they went off on a completely different track.
Exactly. They said, as Rambam says, they did not understand his intention. In fact, you could say they probably purposely misconstrued it, because they decided to create this new philosophy, the new religion. So they kind of took advantage of the fact that this misinterpretation was presented to them. And Rambam continues, and one strengthened the hand of his friend, referring to these Baisus and Sadok. And they exited the group and left the Torah. One group connected itself to one, and another group to his fellow. And the sages called them the Sadducees and Boethusians. But when they could not gather congregations, due to that which follows from this belief, as this evil belief disengages the united, all the more so will it not unite the disengaged. They leaned towards belief in the thing which they could not deny amongst the masses. As if they would put this out of their mouths, the masses would have killed them. I mean to say that this thing is the words of Torah. And so each one said to his party that he believes in the Torah, but disagrees with the transmission of its oral explanation, that it is not true. And this was to exempt themselves from the accepted commandments and ordinances and decrees, since they could not push off everything, the written Torah and the received explanation, and also this way that the way of the interpretation was broadened for them, since once the explanation was given to their choice, he was able to be lenient in what he wanted and to be strict in what he wanted. This is since he did not believe in the fundamentals at all, yet he sought things that would still be accepted by some people. So he tailored, if I'm breaking it, they tailored what they wanted to believe in and not believe in to what would be the most presentable to or attractive to people they wanted to follow them. And and Rambam continues, and these evil groups came out from them, and they are called Karaarites in these lands, I mean to say Egypt. And their names amongst the sages are Sadducees and Boethusians, and they are the ones that began to question the transmission and to explain all of the verses according to what appears to them without listening to the sages at all, which is the opposite of what Hashem stated in Deuteronomy 17:11, you shall act in accordance with the instructions given you and the ruling handed down to you. And you must not deviate from the verdict that they announce to you, either to the right or the left. So that's Rambam's commentary on this Mishnah.
It's interesting, you said the Karaim, they got their names from the word Kara. Kara means the Torah. Mikra. So the Karaim were the ones who looked at the written Torah, and they did not accept any commentary on it, because the Torah is a Torah. It was given in Har Sinai, and they rejected the idea of the Masorah completely, straight out of hand.
Yeah.
Which is incredible, because if you've got, it says in the Torah, "Vayu lo totafot beninecha." What is this totafot? What does it mean? Liot adadcha lo totafot beninecha. What does it mean? You cannot understand what it means unless you've got the oral Torah. How do you know the tefillin have to be black? They have to be completely squared off. All these things are all from the oral Torah, but they rejected it. They came up, I don't know what, they came up some garbage explanation or whatever, and they came up with these ideas.
Well, they were saying that there's no olam haba. They sometimes when people try and reform the religion or they create new branches, it's going to be attractive to some people because some people just want to be with somebody different. But they abused and reinterpreted the Torah in ways that suited them, that were a disaster for the Bnei Israel at the time. Because any split, any disintegration, is a terrible, terrible thing. And they were unfortunately very successful. I think they were very wealthy young individuals who tried to be too smart. So now we're also taught at the end of the Mishnah about you also have to have fear of Hashem. This is very important. The Vilna Gaon talks about 3 levels of yurat, of fear. He talks about yurat anashim, which is the fear of punishment. The lowest form of fear, the weakest form of fear, is fear of punishment for something you've done wrong. The second highest is yurat chet, which is fear of the sin, of the fear of soiling one's soul. That's the second intermediate yurat level of yurat shamayim. The highest is yurat shamayim, which is fear of actually hurting God or offending God. So he talks about these 3 levels of fear. Fear is a healthy thing, and you gotta look at it as like a parent. Hashem is we are the children of Hashem, and so as you love your parents, you also have a fear for them because they are authority figures. And listen, when you think about it, the fear of Hashem. If you understand that Hashem is in your life every day, Hashem watches everything you do, Hashem analyzes every one of your thoughts. Hashem also organizes the whole universe, all the planets that exist, all the galaxies that swirl in endless light years away. Such a master of the universe is taking care of every thought that you are having, is wanting you to do good, wants to credit you for good thoughts, is willing you to be a better human being, is willing you to refine your soul for him. What a great thing. The master of the universe is taking personal interest in every single aspect of your life. You should be awed at such a thing that's happening to you.
Such concern.
Yes.
It's not like some people who have a sort of semi-belief in Hashem, believe that Hashem created the world and then abandoned it. And he's not concerned in my life. It couldn't be further from the truth.
Hashem analyzes every single one of your thoughts. Not a single thought, not a single thing that you write, not a single email or text you send escapes the 100% attention of Hashem. But he wants you to do good, and he wills you to do good. Your life's mission is to refine and purify your neshama, so that, please God, after 120 years, when you meet Hashem, that you can hand over your neshama in a better condition, or as good a condition as possible, and through doing that, you have also enhanced Hashem's world, and you've done a good job. And you must be totally committed, totally beholden to Hashem, and have a mindset that nothing is due to you, especially in this world. Perhaps Hashem rewards you in Olam Haba. In fact, I'm sure he rewards you in Olam Haba. But it's not something you should say, I want something in this world. You know, how silly it would be if he offered you, you know what, I've got something planned for you in Olam Haba. But you can take something in this world, but you've got to accept that I'm not going to give it to you in another world. And if you accept that, you know, perhaps the angel will be looking down on you thinking, what an idiot. He wanted to take something, he wanted monetary possessions so that he could buy a car or bigger house, and he's given up all this here in Olam Haba for those silly little things in Olam Hazeh. What a stupid man. So you've got to realize that something is, there are different, Olam Haba, there are different values of what is good and what is reward, and you have to be patient and be like a servant or even like a slave to Hashem on this world, and see what will happen to you in Olam Haba. You must refine your neshama, give it back in a better state or the best state possible, and know that you have done a good job for Hashem. You've served Him as well as you can in this world to hand back your neshama in a pristine state, and you'll see what Hashem will do for you. Now, Yochanan ben Zakkai also said, quote, may your fear of Hashem be as much as your fear of man, or even the fear of smaller things of man, a fear of anything. Because, you know, Hashem is a very abstract concept. It's very hard to have fear of something that you don't necessarily understand so well. But Yochanan ben Zakkai said, may your fear of Hashem be as much as your fear of man. And I think that's it for this Mishnah.
Very good. That's actually extremely inspiring, not expiring. Inspiring, Michael. Thank you very, very much. Wow. So we've got a lot to look forward to. B'ezrat Hashem, next time we convene, we're going to go for Mishnah 4, and that's we're going into the Zugot, which is starting with Yosef ben Yezer and Yosef ben Yochanan. Okay, and with that, we wish you a wonderful and fantastic week, and B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see you next time.